slide. Now, in this class, we will discuss some theoretical viewpoint of Noam Chomsky. Now, let me tell you who is Noam Chomsky, and I hope I must have discussed Noam Chomsky previously as well. Noam Chomsky is considered to be the founder or father of generative grammar. And there is a book titled Syntactic Structures published in 1957. The length of the book is thin. It has hardly 200 pages, but this book titled Syntactic Structures is considered a seminal work. And why it is a seminal or important work? Because this work made a paradigm shift. Now, when we talk about a paradigm shift, then the meaning of paradigm shift is there is a change in thinking process. And previously, linguists, they had been working on the principles of structuralism, that language is structured, and in that line posited by Ferdinand de Saussure in his course in General Linguistics published in 1916, and following the synchronic approach that we must study language synchronically, that was the line of thinking. But when this book published Syntactic Structure in 1957, there was a paradigm shift. So we will discuss certain philosophical and theoretical perspective related to language that is mentioned in this book. Now, one thing Noam Chomsky talks about, that language is generative. Now, what do we mean by generative? It says grammar, the book says grammar must generate all and only the grammatical sentences of a language. So when we say language is generative, we are talking about that how language is composed of, and language is composed of grammar. Grammar is the important part, but the grammar, that is like a filter, for the language. So we have a system, language, and grammar is the filter. So everything, the phrases, the words, the sentences, they are passing through that filter that is known as grammar. I hope you have a concept of a filter in your mind. So filter is there in the engines, in motor cars, in a bike, and filter is also used to purify the water that you drink. So similarly, grammar is functioning like a filter. I'm using this filter metaphor. This is a metaphor. So grammar must generate all means all the sentences and only the grammatical sentences of a language. That is one thing, that is quite important thing. And there are two aspects of generative grammar. What is the first aspect? The first aspect is generative grammar is not concerned with any actual set of sentences of the language, but the possible set of sentences. Now, what is the meaning, or what is the difference between not concerned with any actual set of sentences, but the possible set of sentences? Actual set of sentences are uttered by human beings. Like when I say something now, then it is actual sentence. I say John loves Mary. It's an actual sentence. I'm saying it now. You are hearing it now. So, and this is not the one sentence that I am saying. I can say such type of sentences, such type of utterances, John loves Mary throughout my life. And if there is a person who is jotting down each and every sentence of mine, that will become the actual set of sentences. Do you think, is it possible in any grammar that actual sentences are recorded? No, because language is not one man's property. Thousands, millions, billions of people, they are using language, and no one is writing down each and every sentence. If I ask how many sentences you use in a day, you do not have any idea. Few, few hundreds or few thousands. It depends upon your activities, your job profile, the work that you do. But is it possible that all the speakers, they can record the actual sentences they utter? First thing is, it is impossible. So here generative grammar is not concerned with any actual set of sentences. That is first thing. But the possible set of sentences. What does it mean? Today, I saw a dinosaur in my garage. This is the possible sentence. You will say it's grammatically fine. You can say this sentence. Or now I am saying it actually. But I can also say I saw an ostrich in my garage. So what is this? This is a possible set of sentences. That grammar is a filter, and through that filter, all and only the grammatical sentences will pass. But what would be the nature of those sentences? Not the actual sentences uttered by some speakers, but all the possible sentences. Let's say you pick Shakespearean sonnet. Let me not to the marriage of true minds. Once you read it first time, let me not to the marriage of true minds, admit impediment, love is not love, which alters when it alterations find. Now what is this? You find that, oh, this is fine. This is the poetry. Though I am reading it first time, but it is very much a possible set of sentences in this poem. So that we are talking about, that anyone who writes a novel, anyone who writes a poem, anyone who conducts a research is not actually producing the actual set of sentences, but the possible set of sentences. Because once you read a novel, either written by, let's say, Chetan Bhagat, what do you find? Oh, something is new. Oh, this character, oh, this situation. Once you watch a movie, the characters are saying different dialogues. Do you find that those dialogues are same in the previous movies? No. Had those dialogues same in the previous movies, then you would not have watched it, because it's a repetition for you. So a movie, a web series, a book is appealing to you because the sentences that are used, the utterances that are used in that particular text, that is the possible set of sentences. So possibility is infinite. Actuality is not infinite, because I am producing sentences, and if anyone asks that how long you will produce sentences, the simple answer is till I die, because after my death my ghost will not utter sentences. So that is the answer. But the possible set of sentences means that till the speakers of this particular language, English, they are alive and they are using this language, then there is a possibility that each day new sentences will be uttered, produced. So this is again a theoretical viewpoint that you need to keep in mind. When we say language generative, that means grammar, the filter, the metaphor that we are using, must generate all and only the grammatical sentences of a language. That is the compulsory condition. But the first aspect is generative grammar is not concerned with any actual set of sentences of the language, but the possible set of sentences. This thing, the first aspect is this. What is the second aspect? Second aspect of generative grammar? A language consists of infinite number of sentences. Infinite. Now you have understood why infinite. Because we are dealing with possible set of sentences and not the actual set of sentences. So a language consists of infinite number of sentences, and this infinity is a result of recursion. Recursion. Fine. One thing after another, another thing after another, another thing after another. Now, what is recursion? There is one example. This is the house that Jack built, that Mary financed, that Smita liked, that Rohit talked about, that Mohan discussed. So I can make this thing infinitely. There are thousands of names, thousands of verbs, and endlessly I can use this sentence starting from here, and like the millionth, like it will never end. It will go on like this. This infinity, this infinity is a result of recursion. That, this, that, this, that. It will go on like this. It will never end. Because you know thousands of verbs, you know there are millions of people, you will add each name, each verb, each name, each verb, go on like this. So this is actually the concept of infinity. Infinity is a result of recursion. This is known as recursion. So these two aspects and the meaning of generative is important when we talk about syntactic structures. Then generative grammar is explicit. There is a word explicit, and the opposite of explicit is implicit. Now, what is the meaning of explicit? Clear. Generative grammar is clear. So implicit is something vague, not clear. Generative grammar is explicit. So what are the possible sentences of the language? We have already discussed, but here you have other examples. Consider these examples. John saw Mary. Mary saw John. So what is the difference? At surface level, you will say there are three words, and three words are used interchangeably. Like at one place you have used John, saw, Mary, and you inversed their order, John and Mary. Now Mary saw John. But you know that meaning is different. When I say John saw Mary, then John saw Mary doesn't mean that Mary also saw John. You also know. But when you say Mary saw John, then again, it is not the case that John saw Mary. So you know the meaning, that who is perceiving in sentence 1? John is perceiving. John is doing the act of seeing. And in sentence 2, Mary is doing the act of seeing. So meaning wise, they are different. Same words are used, but the meaning is different. When the meaning is different, the words are same, then they are two different sentences. You can't consider these two sentences as same sentences. You can't say John saw Mary means Mary saw John. And if you say like this, then it is wrong. So when same words are used, but meaning is different, then they are the example of two different sentences. And this is not the example of transformation. Now there is a concept transformation Noam Chomsky gave in syntactic structures that we will also discuss. So Noam Chomsky gave a theory known as transformational generative grammar. Now, what is the meaning of this transformational generative grammar? The meaning of transformation. There is a literary term metamorphosis. There is a novella by Franz Kafka, Metamorphosis. Metamorphosis means changing from one form to another form. That is known as metamorphosis. So let's say a tadpole converting into, let's say, frog. That is a metamorphosis. A seed is converting into a beautiful flower. That is a metamorphosis. That is the meaning of metamorphosis. And here we have this transformational. That is the same thing. Transformational generative grammar. So how this transformation takes place in generative grammar? We already know the concept of generative grammar. Converting one sentence into another. John saw Mary. Again the same sentence, and you know that this sentence is now in active voice. When I convert this sentence into passive, Mary was seen by John, you will say it's fine. There is no problem in that. Active is converted into passive. And if I ask like there are two sentences, you will say yes, there are two sentences. And when I say there are two different meanings, you will say no, meaning is same. John saw Mary and Mary was seen by John. The meaning is same. So when there are two sentences, but their meaning is same, then it is an act of transformation. And this is posited by Noam Chomsky. And not only that, Chomsky didn't stop here, but he also gave a formula. Where do you find formula? Formula you will find in chemistry, formula you will find in mathematics, formula you will find in the subjects which are related to sciences. So here Noam Chomsky gave a formula. And what is that formula? John is the part of noun phrase, so it is NP1. Then you have an auxiliary or verb. Here we do not have an auxiliary. Here we direct have a verb, and verb is saw. And we have NP2, that is Mary. NP1 verb, NP2. NP2 because again Mary is the part of noun phrase. Mary is a noun. Now when we convert it, NP2 that is in the last, in the sentence 1, in the active, becomes the that comes in the first place, NP2. Then there is an auxiliary is, then auxiliary was, and then the past participle form of see. So we know see, saw, seen. So be plus en of verb, and then by we attach by, by, and np1. So this formula is given by Noam Chomsky when Chomsky talks about the transformation, converting one sentence into another. So what is the meaning of AUX? AUX is tense and auxiliary verb. So that is the AUX. Then BE plus EN is the past participle form. So you know seen, SEEN, seen is the past participle form of see. NP means noun phrase, V means verb. So this a very simple thing, very commonsensical thing Noam Chomsky talks about in syntactic structures. Chomsky also talks about two important things that are related to appropriateness and grammaticality. As we have seen previously, grammar must generate all and only the grammatical sentences of a language. So what is the meaning of grammatical sentence? A grammatical sentence must follow appropriateness and the grammaticality. What does it mean? Consider this sentence: colorless green ideas sleep furiously. If I say check whether this sentence is grammatical, you will say fine, this is grammatical. Why it is grammatical? Ideas is the subject. Ideas, it is in the plural form. So you have the plural verb sleep. If it is only one idea, then you will say idea sleeps. But here ideas is plural. So you will say in the present indefinite, simple present, sleep furiously. It's an adverb. Adverb comes after verb. And then green and colorless, they are modifier and adjective. So you will say they are fine, it's fine, there is no problem in that. But when I say what is the meaning of this sentence, when I ask what is the meaning of this sentence, you will say it's meaningless. Why it's meaningless? Do you think ideas can sleep? No. Human beings, animals, insects, they can sleep, but ideas, they can't sleep. And can anyone sleep furiously? No one can. Furiously means angrily. No one can sleep angrily. People can sleep calmly. People can sleep silently. People can sleep peacefully. People can't sleep furiously. So again, this adverb is not matching with the verb. If I ask what is the color of your idea, you will say I don't know the color of the ideas. I don't have colorful ideas. The obvious reason is ideas, they do not have any color. And even if something has color, can the thing will be colorless? No. If something has a color, let's say this mouse has a red color, then I say this is a red color colorless mouse. You will say what is this? If something has a color, how can it be colorless at the same time? It's not possible at all. So grammar wise it is okay. There is no problem in this sentence. Colorless green ideas sleep furiously. Perfectly fine, grammatically structured. But whether it is appropriate or not at all. It is not appropriate at all. So Noam Chomsky talks about that grammar must generate all and only the grammatical sentences of a language, means that the sentences must be grammatical and sentences must be appropriate. If that is not the case, then we can't consider a particular sentence or utterance grammatical in that situation. So I stop here, and if you have any doubt, you can ask me. I'll be happy to clarify your doubt. You can also write your doubt in